Hello, welcome to the Eugenics podcast. I'm Patrick Merricks.
And I am Marius Turda.
Good morning, Marius. How are you doing?
Very well, thank you, Patrick. How are you?
Very good, thanks. Ready and raring to go. So today we're talking about Christianity, family, and reproduction. Recently, I have this headline coming out of Poland. So abortion access worsens amid pandemic. What's happening in Poland at the moment, Marius?
Debates about abortion are recurrent in Poland, considered to be one of the most Catholic countries in Europe. And there is, of course, very strong opposition to abortion and abortion laws, as much as there is very active support for it. So we have here playing out some of the oldest debates about the control of reproduction, the future of the family and the nation, and all within a Catholic environment that is very much alive, notwithstanding 50 years of communism. So some of the eugenic, demographic, and population policy arguments we heard in the interwar period are now revived within this debate about abortion and the control of reproduction we see in certain countries.
So remarkably, we have this link between Christianity and eugenics. So in this case, we have Catholicism. So who's this figure here, and what was this relationship?
This is one of the most important Catholic figures of the interwar period, the Archbishop of Marseille. And this is what they got together in 1930 to discuss the role of the church in promoting eugenics. And it was organized by the Association of Christian Marriage. And it's very interesting that he says there that there is a similarity between eugenics and Catholicism. He also says that as long as it is carried out within Catholic morality, it is permitted. In other words, and it's a wonderful expression there, God commanded man to multiply, but he did not wish him to multiply poorly. So for Catholics such as the Archbishop of Marseille, there could be a similarity and a common purpose between Catholicism and eugenics. And others across Europe, we've seen people in Italy or Hungary or Poland or Austria in the interwar period, important Catholic figures. They promoted a similar positive eugenic message that was about the family, was about the children, was about demography, and about the quantity and the quality of the population.
So also there was a link to Anglicanism with eugenics, and interestingly, from my experience, Anglicans were more accommodating to birth control and reproductive control generally. So what was the difference here? What was this relationship?
The Anglican bishops were, and Anglicanism in general, was a bit more accommodating to eugenics from the very beginning because of the role played by figures such as Barnes and Dean Ing, the deans of St. Paul, in the British eugenics movement. So they were members of the Eugenics Society. They gave lectures to the Eugenics Society. They gave the Galton lectures, as we see here with Barnes. So there is a very direct connection between the Eugenics Society in Britain and the Anglican Church through various figures. There was always opposition to eugenics, both from Anglican Church bishops or Anglicans in general, and as it was from the Catholics, of course. But you also have a lot of synergy and collaboration and common projects directed at improving the biological and spiritual quality of the population, discussions about the family, discussion about the divorce, the birth control of the poor, which was a big issue, and debate in English eugenics, sterilization of the unfit, but also immigration and other issues that Anglican bishops felt they need to engage with.
This leads us to a landmark moment in sort of Anglican history. It was the Lambeth Conference of 1930. So what was the Lambeth Conference and what happened this year?
The Anglican bishops get together every year to discuss issues of importance, the issues of the day. So we mentioned a few, and in 1930, the topic of conversation was about of course, the social and moral life of society. And contraception was high on the agenda. So the Lambeth Conference of 1930 allowed the use of contraception in marriage. So it became possible for couples to use contraception as long as they were married. It's very important to highlight this. So this is a landmark moment in the debate about contraception, abortion, and generally speaking about reproduction in the 1930s.
So this prompted a response a few months later from the Catholic Church. So Casti Connubil was a publication. What did this represent?
Marriage was essential to both, of course, Anglican and Catholic bishops, theologians, and churches. And we've seen the Lambeth highlighting this point. Contraception was permitted within the confines of marriage. Marriage is the key word here as well. The Catholic Church reacts to that, also reacts more broadly to the popularity negative eugenics is experiencing in the 1930s, particularly in the Nordic countries, and sterilization laws introduced in America. So you have a two-pronged reaction to, on the one hand, the Lambeth Conference and the Anglican Church, on the other hand, towards negative eugenics becoming too popular. And the states using that to instrumentalize their program of biological engineering. So the Catholic Church reacts very violently against the interference of the state in matters it considers to be private or belonging to the church domain. So it declares family and marriage to be above state interference. Casti is about the Christian marriage. And also it criticizes the use of contraception and birth control. So it goes against, it's very pro-life. And we could see here, it is a discussion about who is able and should prevent people from being born. And this is one example we have from the encyclical issued in 1930 by Pope Pius XI.
So many aspects of these arguments actually sort of survived the test of time. So we have this example in Hungary. So what is this development we're looking at?
The conversation about the sacrality of marriage, the importance of family, and within that, the importance of the nation and the future of the country are very strongly interrelated. And that kind of rhetoric about the quality and the quantity, particularly the quantity of the population, continues to some extent gets even stronger after 1945. We could see that happening in South America, we could see that happening in Africa, but we could also see it happening in Eastern Europe under communism. And then it survives and it re-emerges in various ways in the 1990s. So we had this example from Poland, but we could look at Hungary, which is very keen of late to promote pro-natalist demographic policy to increase the number of Hungarian families. So it is not enough to have, it's essential to get married, but it's not enough to just have one child or two children. You need to have a strong, numerically strong family. So to ensure the survival of the nation and of your country. So that rhetoric that we're so familiar with from the interwar period about mothers of the nation and national responsibility of women to reproduce for the sake of the nation is coming very, very strongly back.
So interestingly, these conversations are not just happening in Catholic communities. Here we have a news story from Namibia, and this is within the sort of a Protestant community. So what's going on in Namibia? Are there any differences, or?
We can see that at the moment, both the Anglican and the Catholic Church agree on the importance of promoting a more pro-life agenda, and they're very much, at least segments of it, very much against the legalization of abortion. So it's interesting to see these two churches agreeing on some of the fundamental principles of the debate about the family and reproduction and Christianity. But at the same time, we also see the same obsession you have with the future of the children and the future of the family, as we saw that in the case of Hungary, Poland, we see it here in the case of Namibia. So you have this conflation of concerns about quality with concerns about quantity of the nation and of the population. So that remains very powerful within the debate about the control of reproduction in present times.
Well, this has been another fascinating discussion, Marius. I want to thank you for joining me, and also thanks to everyone for tuning in again, and also listening. So once again, Marius, thank you, and see you next time.
Thank you, Patrick. Till next time.